Is Notre Dame running back Jeremiyah Love in the same stratosphere as Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs when they entered the NFL? Love is the consensus RB1 in the 2026 NFL draft, and there are evaluators around the league who believe that he could come off the board inside of the top 10, possibly even the top 5. Now, before you immediately jump to positional value, let's ground this conversation in context. The most recent Super Bowl MVP, for example, was running back Kenneth Walker, making him the first running back since Terrell Davis in 1998 to win the award. That matters, not as an outlier, but as part of a broader trend. The running back position, it is quietly becoming more and more valuable each and every season in today's NFL. And why is that? Defensive methodology has shifted heavily towards two high shells. Defenses are prioritizing keeping everything in front of them in the passing game in an effort to limit explosive plays and force offenses to be more patient, dinking and dunking down the field. The byproduct of that philosophy is lighter boxes and more favorable run looks. And when an offense has a running back that can punish those types of structures, the run game becomes a true efficiency driver, not just a complementary piece to the offense. Just as you had seen with the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl, the run game was the primary driver of that offense. That is what Seattle does. They run the football, they play great defense, and then they set things up off play action. So when you are evaluating a draft class that's already thin at quarterback and you have a luxury type offensive weapon like Jeremiyah Love, who is available, it becomes very clear why he's being projected inside of the top 15 and increasingly inside of the top 10. Now, with that context, let's talk numbers and how it actually correlates to the actual film. And when evaluating the running back position from a film and data standpoint, there are 3 traits I consistently key in on that translate most to the NFL. And the first trait that I really like to pay attention to, whether it's watching the film or looking at the data, it's going to be contact balance. Now, contact balance is a running back's ability to stay upright through contact. He can take a hit, keep his feet in balance, and generate tough yards, most often between the tackles, bouncing off of linebackers or defensive linemen to stay upright. Now, the base level metric for this is going to be yards after contact. Now, yards after contact is a measure of how many yards a runner gains after first contact, whether that's bouncing off a defender or breaking a tackle entirely. Now, in the NFL in 2025, for example, the top backs in this category were Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, James Cook, and Derrick Henry. Now, these players, they obviously vary in style, but the production profile is the same. And the key name on this list that I really want to focus on is going to be Bijan Robinson. Now, in 2025, Bijan Robinson amassed 1,133 of his 1,400 plus rushing yards coming after contact. That's nearly identical to Derrick Henry, who generated 1,100 of his 1,600 total yards after contact. That's roughly 69% of their rushing production coming after that first contact or breaking tackles, for example. Now, if you rewind to Bijan's final season when he was in college at Texas, he rushed for 1,500 yards with nearly 1,100 yards coming after contact. Again, right around that 69% threshold. So the question becomes, how does Jeremiyah Love compare to Bijan Robinson in this context? In 2025, Love generated 900 of his nearly 1,400 rushing yards after contact at Notre Dame. That's 64% of his total rushing production. That places him squarely in the same efficiency neighborhood as Bijan Robinson. Now let's compare that to Jahmyr Gibbs, because he is also someone that we want to look at stylistically. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs, a different style back than even what Jeremiyah Love is. At Alabama in 2022, Gibbs recorded 512 yards after contact. He only had 900 yards rushing, by the way, in 2022 at Alabama. Not nearly the same as Bijan, and that's okay because these two players have differing styles, as I already mentioned, which brings us to an important point: making defenders miss. Elite backs, they don't just generate tough yards, they create yards in a phone booth or an open space, and that brings us to elusiveness, or making defenders miss. Let's start again with Bijan Robinson. Now, in 2025, at the NFL level, Robinson, he led all running backs with at least 200 carries in PFF elusiveness rating. He also led the league with 86 forced missed tackles. Now, rewind to his time in college once again. Back in 2022, Bijan led all of college football in both elusiveness rating and forced missed tackles, according to Pro Football Focus. Now, what about Jahmyr Gibbs in this context. In 2025, Gibbs ranked 6th in the NFL in overall elusiveness rating. Now, looking back at Gibbs when he was at Alabama, keep in mind, he shared a backfield, so the volume wasn't there. As I already mentioned, in 2022, he had only 900 rush yards. He didn't even have over 1,000 rushing yards in college at that point. Gibbs, he only had 150 rushing attempts compared to Bijan's 257 total rushing attempts back in 2022 in college. And on top of that, Gibbs wasn't even rated that high in terms of elusiveness rating. He was ranked 130th in that category, and he had 36 forced missed tackles compared to the 96 created by Bijan Robinson. So even from a percentage standpoint, Bijan was a more impressive back, forcing a missed tackle on nearly 37% of his total rush attempts versus Jahmyr Gibbs' 24%. So where does Jeremiyah Love land in this category? In 2025, Love ranked 6th nationally in PFF elusiveness rating. He forced 56 missed tackles. That was good for 15th nationally. That places him much closer to the Bijan Robinson profile than the Jahmyr Gibbs one in terms of the data, but there are still some elements in Jeremiyah Love's game of both of these players, Gibbs and Bijan, and it comes down to the 3-down versatility. Now, obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs shared a backfield in college, so all that data didn't really correlate to what we're seeing from Bijan Robinson or Jeremiyah Love, and you're probably thinking in your mind, what is the correlation? Why are we even bringing up Jahmyr Gibbs? Well, at the NFL level, we know what Jahmyr Gibbs is when he's getting the ball more consistently at the NFL level, even though he's still sharing the backfield. But it does come down to the 3-down versatility, and that is where Jahmyr Gibbs bridges the gap versus Bijan Robinson by way of the data overall. First off, what is 3-down versatility? How do we define that? When analysts actually use that term, what they really mean is this: can the back run the ball on early downs and stay on the field on 3rd down, not just as a pass catcher, but as a functional pass protector as well? We already know what Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs can do in this area. They are both phenomenal pass catchers, and when they get the ball in space after the catch, Gibbs, for example, in 2025 at the NFL level, he ranked 3rd in yards after the catch, while Bijan Robinson, by the way, he ended up ranking 1st in this category in 2025 in a massive year for Bijan Robinson. They were both also very elite pass catchers in college, and that has translated seamlessly to the NFL level. Jeremiyah Love checks this box as well. He's not just catching screens, by the way. He's running angle routes, wheel routes, and he has the flexibility to align out in the slot as needed. Now, his pass protection, it still needs refinement, but he's adequate in that area. And that's one of the most coachable traits for young backs at the next level. So when you stack the data, contact balance, elusiveness, 3-down versatility, and you place it in the context of today's NFL, lighter boxes, efficiency-driven offenses, in a draft class that is absolutely thin at the quarterback position, the picture becomes very clear. Jeremiyah Love doesn't just belong in the Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs conversation. The tape and the data place him firmly in their tier as an NFL draft prospect. And with the quarterback situation in this draft class, it's really, really easy to place him in that top 10 conversation. His draft stock could absolutely move even higher. We could be talking about Jeremiyah Love going in the top 5 picks of the 2026 NFL draft. And it all comes down to those key traits that all translate to the NFL level. Okay, I want to know what you think about Jeremiyah Love. Do you believe that Love is in the same tier as a draft prospect as Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson? Do you believe his game will absolutely translate? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Once again, I want to say thank you for watching this video. If you liked this breakdown, please hit that like and subscribe button and stay tuned for more NFL draft content right here on Football Scout 365.